by my co-host, Drew Taylor, and special guest, Itchy Baka of Disney Star Wars is Dumb. Great resource for Star Wars news and information. We use it consistently in our coverage. How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
How's it going? Well.
Going well.
Yeah. So a couple of our normal co-hosts are a little bit delayed. Philip will be joining us a little bit later, as will Jorge. Hopefully that won't be too long, but they did say that they are going to be joining us if you're looking for them. So they will be here. But yeah, so I wanted to get into a little bit about Star Wars. There's been a lot of stuff happening. I don't know. I guess we're starting to see a lot more stuff, obviously, with Rise of Skywalker coming up. But there were some huge stories this past week.
Yeah, there are quite a number of them.
Yeah, so we covered this one today. It was about the Millennium Falcon. You had the alleged leak for the was it the CD or whatever, the soundtrack, that the Millennium Falcon is going to be destroyed, and then we had this Facebook ad from Lego with the Millennium Falcon like doing a freaking holdo maneuver.
Yeah, it's a classic toy commercial, and usually in those they kind of recreate scenes from the movies if it's a licensed product. And so the suggestion here is that perhaps they've just spoiled, one of the scenes in the movie.
Yeah, and then I mean, Lego stuff usually happens. We saw that with Avengers Endgame. The Avengers Endgame Lego set showed them at that Avengers compound where the big fight with Thanos happened. And that was like a month before the film came out earlier this year.
Yeah.
So do you actually think that they're going to destroy the Millennium Falcon? I mean, I know Drunk 3PO in his video, he said he doesn't really think that that's going to happen. But he did also point out that there was the death of Qui-Gon in the Phantom Menace was on their soundtrack that came out, and obviously that happened.
Yeah, I suspect they will. I mean, they're constantly referring to this as the Skywalker saga. It's all coming to an end. So if that's all true, then from their perspective, there's no need to hold on to the Falcon for another trilogy. Right. So, and, if they go back and do Han Solo movies, they can always bring it back that way, I suppose. But
yeah, I mean, they definitely left Han Solo movies open for a sequel or potentially bringing it onto Disney Plus because that's a way to hide, obviously, how well the Star Wars franchise is doing.
Yeah.
Office.
I mean,
Star Trek.
I mean, their agenda, you got to look at it this way, too. Like, they absolutely cannot stand, anybody that is not on board with Disney Star Wars. So at this point, in order to twist the knife deeper, I would not be surprised if they just go ahead and do it just for the extra anguish factor for us.
So
that could be part of it.
That actually, I think it leads a good segue into another story that we did yesterday, and I definitely was citing your website in my video that I did yesterday. It's about this agenda that Lucasfilm seems to have against Luke Skywalker, and I think, as Drew points out, it's pretty much against most of the original trilogy characters, minus maybe Leia.
Yeah, well. Back shortly after the release of The Last Jedi, there was this story that who's that girl, Andy Gutierrez from that Star Wars show?
Yeah.
There was a shot of her, and they caught a screen grab of somebody having a picture of Luke taped to their cubicle wall, and it was crossed out with red ink. And at the time, everybody thought it was no big. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. A lot of people felt it was no big deal. Some people were offended by it. The people who had it came out and said that it was supposed to be imperial couture, or, some kind of style that they're decorating their cubicle with. But these stories keep popping up that make me question that excuse for that image. This latest one about this supposed leaker saying that there was a palpable hatred for Luke Skywalker. So then right away I go back and I think about that crossed out image because it kind of plays into that. As does all of this hatred for the white male and the patriarchy. Luke is a white male and a very patriarchal archetype, if you will. So, there's that going for it. But yeah, it's just a strange situation.
I mean, and we've kind of seen it play out in the movies. I know one of the things that you pointed out, and I didn't really mention it in my video, was they did this like short film, which was the short animated adaptation that they put up. I guess it's primarily aimed for a younger audience, but it's adapting the training scene in A New Hope.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Luke
yeah.
Skywalker being like he's just first time using the lightsaber against the training droid with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Telling him to like embrace the Force, and Han is there with that classic line. What does he say? I don't believe in like your hokey religions. I'd rather use a good blaster than an ancient sword or whatever. And they took that scene, and I think it was like maybe a minute and a half little animated clip that they did, and the full I think 50 seconds of it was just Luke getting blasted.
Yeah.
By the droid, and then the last 10 seconds, because the final 30 seconds was just like watch more videos. And the last 10 seconds of the actual clip was him deflecting 3 of the blasts from the droid.
He was hit, like 9 times in a row or whatever the count was. And it was just really goofy. They made him kind of depicted him as this incompetent buffoon. And there was another scene that they redid with that same animation short, where they recreated the scene with Luke and Leia in the Death Star, the scene where he was going to swing across with his grappling hook. And they depicted it as though, Leia's the one who grabs the gun away from him and has to, shoot all the stormtroopers and saves the day. So it's that kind of pushing that feminist agenda into it.
Well, yeah, there's that. But, Itchy, I think like those of us with the hashtag fandom menace mindset are really starting to like get under their skin too. And I think in this movie, they're going to like in very subtle ways try to, like I said, sort of, stick the knife in and I guess broaden our anguish. Like I said.
Yeah, well, things are coming down to the wire. Rise of Skywalker is 2 months away. And the last feature film, Solo, didn't do too hot. And all the indicators leading up to this are showing that people are losing interest in the franchise in general. You have the falling toy and merchandise sales, falling comic book sales. The second weekend of The Last Jedi dropped tremendously, which kind of portended what was to come with Solo. There's in Google Analytics, you can watch trends of interest, people searching things. That's dropping. Everything is diminishing and indicating that people are walking away from the franchise. So they may be seeing all of that and realizing that Skywalker may not hit the billion everybody thinks it will.
I was even seeing that the Triple Force Friday products are already in clearance at like a Walmart. I think was that on your site?
Yeah. Somebody had tweeted that out, so I blogged it right away. Which, if that's true, crazy. That's just incredible. With a movie coming out 2 months away, it's just incredible. And in fact, the guy who tweeted it out, Adam Bray, he's a Lucasfilm author.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So let's say hi to the chat here real quick. Hey Mark, I want to say hey to Mark. Hey Script Doctor, how's it going, guys? Flopping has been. Welcome to the stream. That's a new name. Haven't seen that one before.
We got our boy Dollified joining us.
How's it going, Don? Thanks for joining us.
What's up, guys?
How are you guys doing? Oh, hey, Blue-Eyed Scorpio. How are you doing? So we do have a question from Flopping Henderson. Hey, Skipper Landry. How's it going? So Flopping Henderson, or has been, sorry. Getting it wrong here. What does he say here? Actually, I totally blew that up. The question is from Skipper Landry. So this movie is said to be the wrap-up of the Skywalker saga, but there is no Skywalker, and the title is Rise of Skywalker. But this is the last one with no Skywalker. I'm confused.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Technically, Kylo Ren is a Skywalker. He's the son of Han and Leia is a Skywalker. So there's that possibility. If they turn around and make Rey the Skywalker, then there's going to be a lot of angry Reylos out there, and all that Reylo artwork will take on a whole new meaning.
Good. Oh, God. Yes, it will.
Yeah.
So I remember there was this theory, I guess it was like way earlier in the year, and it was kind of from Kevin Smith, and he was saying that the whole idea of the film is to create like a new religion where Skywalker replaces like the Jedi.
That had been one of the theories I remember reading about, that they were no longer going to be Jedis anymore. They were going to be Skywalkers and so on and so forth. Who knows? There have been so many supposed leaks coming out from supposed insiders. Whether any of it's true or not, I don't know. It could just be the studio putting out a dozen different leaks just to protect the real story. So if the real story does leak out, nobody will know what it is because there's dozens of these leaks coming out. It'll just be one more leak. But who knows? We won't know till we watch the movie, I suppose. It won't surprise me if somebody leaks the movie before the opening day, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I remember Endgame, there was like this, I don't know, I guess it was like a 3-minute like sizzle reel, and it had like tons of, it was just like little things that happened throughout the movie. Mm-hmm. And you had Captain America with the hammer, you had like the big, they were about to like charge and fight Thanos. Mm-hmm. You had Professor Hulk. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that with Rise of the Skywalker as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll definitely get that at some point. But I would not surprise me if the entire film gets leaked online, to be honest with you.
What do you make of the fact that Disney Plus is launching with The Mandalorian about a month before Rise of Skywalker? Do you think that could help Rise of Skywalker if Mandalorian is decent?
Well, there's that school of thought. Half people think that they're releasing it at that time to build interest and hype in advance of the movie. But if it isn't good, boy, will it work in the opposite way. And I don't have high hopes for it. If it turns out to be good, I'll wait to hear from people who I trust, wait to hear their opinions on it. If they say it's good after about the 3rd or 4th episode, I'll give it a try, maybe. But, I'm still irritated with a lot of these comments from Lucasfilm representatives that are just completely unacceptable.
If The Mandalorian is good, see, that presents another problem, too, because it's actually going to work against the movie if they put it out first. Because if it actually is a good piece of Star Wars storytelling, people are going to go over to The Mandalorian and say, I don't even need to bother with the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There's that possibility, too. If it's good, why go to the movies to see a crappy Star Wars movie if The Mandalorian is good at home? Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah, so that it could blow up in their face from that standpoint.
Sure. But, who's to say there's many a slip betwixt a cup and a lip? So
Right.
anything can happen,
I still think there's a better chance of the Mandalorian succeeding than even the movie. Yeah.
I think it's in a better position, but I doubt we're going to see much difference because, it's still Lucasfilm. It's still Disney. It's still, the people that they're hiring. So, I know Jon Favreau is in charge and a lot of people have faith in him. But again, he's working for Lucasfilm and Disney. So, I don't have high hopes, but who knows? Maybe it'll be great.
I think I agree with you on that too, Itchy, because if it was a case where I felt like they gave these guys more autonomy, to do their thing, I think I would be more confident. But I feel like these people don't get a whole lot of autonomy working under that umbrella.
Well, so I want to interject there. That I actually think that might be one of the problems that they had with The Last Jedi. It sounded like they gave Rian Johnson way too much autonomy.
Well, yeah,
with The Last Jedi, and he kind of threw out. I mean, this insider WDW Pro said he threw out JJ's like overview, broad map, and he just did his own thing, and that was what why Colin Trevorrow was eventually fired from doing the episode 9 because disagreed with the way they handled Luke Skywalker and how he threw out the entire like Abrams outline.
Yeah, it also goes back to the story group itself. There was an article from Polygon months and months ago that talked about how there was no singular canon, that every author's canon is their own truth. So, they were complaining about the EU having 4 or 5 different tiers. But in this case, what they're doing is every author gets to create their own kind of canon. So now you've got however many canons as you have authors. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was at New York Comic Con and I went to, I guess it was like Insight Editions, which is like a publishing company.
Yeah.
And they do like Star Wars cookbooks, and they have like this like pop-up book. And they were talking, and one of the guys, I forget, he wrote the story for the cookbook, and he was actually talking about how like influential like the story group was on his book, but he was also saying like I was writing the story based off of like my own knowledge of Star Wars and being a Star Wars fan, and like all the people on the panel they all admitted that they were adding in their own like their family and themselves into like the canon in these like cameo roles.
Sure,
and I was just like, wow, okay.
Sure. Yeah, it's been happening, and that probably has always happened to some degree. But what point is there for the story group to even exist if they're not going to maintain some kind of cohesion throughout the canon? That if you guys remember Chuck Wendig.
Oh yeah, we remember him very
early on, he had tweeted something out about how he hates canon and how it's detrimental, this and that. So, it all goes back to that. There's no cohesive vision. It's just kind of everybody doing what they want to do. And that's why it's a mess.
So I read something. I think one of the guys who was in the story group, I forget his name. I want to say his name was like Ryan or something. And he was saying he didn't have any involvement with the Rise of Skywalker or Solo.
I think you're talking about Matt Martin.
Yeah. Okay, Matt Martin.
That was an interesting tweet because it kind of played into another comment that WD Pro had made to the effect that the story group has effectively been dismantled.
Right.
Yeah.
What have you seen anything? I know you like to play antagonist to Pablo Hidalgo.
I have not seen anything. Certainly nothing official. At this point, everything that I've seen is conjecture or coming from supposed insiders. WD Pro may not be an insider at all. We have no way of knowing. But who knows? Who knows what's going on? It's strange that Carrie Hart kind of left quietly. When they hired her, they had all kinds of articles about how great they were for hiring this woman of color and this and that. And then when she left, it was just dead silence. Nothing.
Yeah, I was just reading that. You said that what is her name? Lenwyn or something?
Lin-Wen Brennan.
Yeah, Lin-Wen Brennan is like seemingly might be the new successor to Kennedy.
That's my suspicion. I could be wrong there too. But that's a strong suspicion because all of the arguments against Filoni taking over also apply to Carrie Hart. So a lot of people felt Carrie Hart was going to take over. I never thought that. It just seems to me that Lin-Wen Brennan is really in the right position. She's kind of parallel to Kathy, unless they come up with somebody else. I know a lot of people think Kevin Feige is coming in to facilitate some kind of transition. Maybe that's the transition he's going to facilitate. Who knows?
Well, we also had that promotion of that J.J. Abrams. I guess she was a J.J. Abrams assistant. Let me see what her name was. Michelle Rezwan, I think.
Yeah.
And she was promoted to like some kind of like creative head for a Star Wars film. I think, if I remember correctly.
Not sure if I recall that.
I'll find it here. But yeah, so what do you? So I want. What do you think about Feige coming over and producing a Star Wars film?
It's kind of a strange thing, isn't it? It kind of came out of the blue.
Yeah.
Why would Feige want to create a single Star Wars movie when he's got a lot of work on his plate? I imagine he would have his hands full with the MCU.
Fuller.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds
because
like
he just got promoted as well.
More.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like he created his own promotion.
So I suspect he's coming in either to lend Kathy a helping hand, maybe not, but something is afoot. Changes are coming. It feels like, but who knows what shape that will take.
Kennedy's contract expires in 2021. The next Star Wars film doesn't come out till 2022. But yeah, here her name was Michelle.
Rezwan. Yeah. I remember that.
It's her here.
She just doesn't seem old enough to be able to, and old enough to have the years of experience necessary to play a Kathleen Kennedy role or to step into that role, in my opinion. But who knows? It could be.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It's that lady, the eater of X-Wings.
Yeah. Eater of X-Wings. Did you just make that up?
No, people made. So I remember when that picture came out, and there's a number of people that made memes of her, like just eating that X-Wing. That was great. So
one thing, dude, that is a great name. One thing I'm actually kind of skimming that article. They announced this K2SO Cash and Andor TV show. We haven't heard anything about it.
Very little. We heard about a writer, but that's about it. But I don't know. Do you guys care about it? I really don't.
No,
I really like
K2SO. Yeah, K2SO was funny, but I mean, I don't know that that's going to carry a whole TV series. I mean, Cassian Andor was a decent character, but I mean, he just, I don't know. You just don't picture an adventure TV series with that guy in the lead.
To me, it feels like a TV show was created around this actor, that his agent was able to get him a TV show. Because Diego Luna is kind of a rising star, right? He was on a Netflix series or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it feels like to me. It feels like a show that was created around him. I doubt that'll be any good either. It just sounds really boring.
Yeah, and a droid's not going to carry a whole series, man.
Nah, not at all.
No matter how
Yeah.
funny or witty they make the droid, that's
Yeah.
not going to carry the whole series.
I'm just surprised we haven't heard anything from it. But we're seeing all of these, like, they're announcing multiple MCU TV shows, but we haven't heard anything about another Star Wars show after The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I don't even know that I even interested in it. You know, I don't intend to run my blog much after episode 9 is out of theaters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I've already lost interest in the franchise itself. I'm more entertained by the antics of Lucasfilm representatives.
Exactly.
But that'll get old too, you know.
Yeah.
But you are writing a book, though, right?
Yeah, so I have an Indiegogo up, essentially to write a book using my blog as kind of the foundation of research. And I'm going to be organizing the narrative according to the Geekergate, which is really the most important thing to come out of all of this, is kind of map out how this happens in IP after IP. It happened to Ghostbusters. It happened to Battlestar. You know, it's happening in Dungeons and Dragons over and over again. So I want to kind of set it up as kind of a manual with strategies and countermeasures and stuff like that, how to combat this stuff and how to recognize what's happening when you see it coming down the pike.
Fascinating.
So it's not just going to be Star Wars. You're going to be talking about other geek pop culture.
It's going to be primarily Star Wars. I'm going to talk about how it happened according to the phases of the Geekergate, how things happened. And from that, you'll be able to use this as kind of a template. You'll see the same things happening in other IPs, you know, because it has happened multiple times before.
Okay, cool.
Sounds like Battlestar.
Yeah.
It's happened multiple times before. It'll happen again.
Right. Exactly.
So if you can back it here, put the link in the chat here.
And I got about 3 trailers up on there on the Indiegogo page you can watch.
You just see Pablo's head come off his face.
Right.
Everybody keeps telling me to keep that cover. You know, it was just a quick mock cover I made up. It's not very good, but
that's awesome, dude.
It is funny.
It got him to retweet it though, so that was nice.
Yeah. It's free promotion there.
Right.
So we talked about Kevin Feige a little bit. Let's kind of get back into that. Big news from him this week, it's a report from Variety. So
He didn't refute it.
It hasn't been refuted, but he's apparently creating his own position called, Chief Creative Officer of Marvel? And he's going to be
CCO.
Yeah, and he's going to be taking over Marvel Comics, Marvel TV, and animation, as well as Marvel Studios. So, I mean, that's a lot to do, and he's going to be producing this Star Wars film. So he's going to be doing a lot.
That's mind-boggling.
Feige's a smart guy, though. I mean, you got to figure somewhere in there he's going to delegate, but he's still gonna be the man.
Now, how pissed are Ike Perlmutter and the lead of animation? Those guys. How angry do you think those guys are? Because they were working hand in hand with Feige, and Feige went up to Disney and said, "I don't want to work with Perlmutter anymore."
Is that what you call hand? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that from what I understand, the issue there was more like Perlmutter really, he really keeps a close eye on the financials, and he doesn't want things to get out of. I mean, I guess you can say that. He doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I understand completely where he's coming from. You have to manage your budgets and stuff. So and you want to keep an eye on it. You can't get all your expenses get too high. So I understand where he's coming from, and I also understand from a creative standpoint where you want to spend that money because you want to create a great product. So yeah. I definitely understand that conflict, but that's for me, that's where that conflict was. It was more about like Perlmutter is a guy who wants to manage budgets, and he was but he was butting heads with a creative. That happens, I feel like, a lot. So I just feel like that confrontation was a little bit overblown. And I don't know. For me, Perlmutter probably is like, hey, if you're gonna make me money, and we can make that money, let's make the money. He's still there.
I know a fair share about the Perlmutter situation. From what I've read, it was more along the line. It was very much that. And he's a numbers guy, but what was happening was, Feige and company wanted to do certain things, and Perlmutter, coming from a financial standpoint, would only do it as long as it was guaranteed to make money. And he came from managing a toy line, and he believed if what they were doing couldn't sell merchandise, or he didn't believe it couldn't sell merchandise, he didn't want to let them take the chance. And that was stifling whatever Feige wanted to get done. And to be honest, Perlmutter did one of two things. He saved Marvel Comics in the mid to late 90s from going bankrupt. He's also the reason why they lost control of almost all of their IPs in terms of movies. He was behind selling off all their characters. But again, that saved the company. It's just the way he went about it. Again, hindsight and all that. We talked about that before. But
the Iron Man thing was before Disney bought Marvel too. Just want to make that
Paramount.
clear.
Yeah, that was Paramount still. Paramount was involved for Iron Man, I think Captain America, and I'm not sure Thor. Was Thor part of Paramount as well?
I don't know, but I think he was also involved. Was Marvel also involved in the Hulk?
That was more Universal, but it was Marvel.
Yeah,
Universal.
Right.
Yeah. But other than that, one thing with Kevin Feige, how I see it is like producers, Timbaland, Scott Storch. These are all iconic producers in music. At first, it was them producing the music and making the beats and making and making things sound the way they did. After a while, they hired a production team. It was less them and more them behind the scenes telling people what to do. I think Kevin Feige is moving away from being the head of everything, and he's going to be appointing people to be over it. But he's going to be where the buck stops with him. Nothing's going to get past him the way he doesn't want to get past him. So I can't see him being in charge of 1,000 MCU movies, and having the comic book the division report to him. He's involved in Star Wars as well, and doing TV. So no, I don't see that happening. He's not going to be the overlord, not sleeping kind of guy, but he's going to be in charge of a team of people, or more so than he already is.
It's almost like he has his own brand name.
Yeah.
Already.
It's the same thing. It's no different than sports, like the conflict that you have in front offices where
exactly
where you have you have guys that believe in analytics on one side, and then you have guys that are more traditional football or baseball guys on another side. And then there's always that sort of butting of the heads because, one background comes from numbers, the other comes from tradition. So
I think I posed this question last week. Does that mean do you think he's up in the line for taking over for Iger at some point?
I think so.
Yeah, I would say he's in that conversation for sure.
He's putting himself there for sure. I would argue.
I think all this is to see how he juggles everything that's coming up. If he can juggle this properly, and let's put it this way, Marvel Comics makes a little over $1 billion per year. If he finds a way of increasing that substantially,
I don't think Marvel Comics does. I think the comic book industry total is $1 billion.
Is it? That's pretty sad. See, that's even worse.
No, Marvel did just have I was looking at Comic-Con the other day. They do have almost like 60% market share now, though.
Oh,
which is the highest it's been since, I think they
90s?
said like 97.
It's not bad, I guess.
That's not
But
bad,
that
actually.
DC is not producing any comics.
But yeah,
and neither there's
I
Image.
think it's less about what they're doing and what other people aren't doing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But so I see Feige as kind of this guy who's going to create like a broad outline of his vision, which he kind of already has. He's had 10 years of shaping the Marvel Studios, and they've already kind of looks like they've built out whatever this was it Phase 4, and then kind of going into Phase 5. And I wouldn't be surprised if they incorporate the comics into that as well, and make the comics more aligned with kind of with what they're doing in Marvel Studios. So I know you guys just had a really good X-Men run, but there might be some changes coming in the future again.
I don't see them adopting this storyline.
Oh no,
word for word. That's
listen. Me and Don loved the. I think we both loved the series, but we haven't spoken about it since it ended. And I don't think it's not because we didn't like it. It's just because I don't think it ended the way we thought it was going to end. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard to critique it because we're not sure what the heck is going on still.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to think though that if they take Feige and he actually let him have a good expanded role in Star Wars, man. He could probably be the guy to bring some continuity to the whole thing if they let that happen. But see, that's the thing with Disney though. It's like, I don't think they care about continuity in Star Wars.
It doesn't seem like they do. No.
But will they let Feige have free reign to do that though?
I hope they do, because if they're not going to take any of Lucas's ideas, Feige's the next best guy to say, okay, we need a continuity here, we need some sort of canon outline here, and a story that is the backdrop.
Yeah, he's going to make them tell a story from A to Z. So at the very least, the story that you have in one movie, you can expect a sequel. Unlike what happened with The Last Jedi, it became its own standalone movie, essentially. So I don't think that's going to happen under Feige. So at least we can get a sequel out of a proper sequel from a movie, hopefully, a Star Wars movie.
Well, the big question is Feige moving in there to take over as a Kathleen Kennedy position? Is he just going to make a single movie, which would really be odd unless he just really wants to make a Star Wars movie? Or is he kind of moving into transition, someone else taking over Kathleen Kennedy's role? It could be any one of those.
I don't know, man. My gut says, Itchy, that he's going to have definitely a bigger role in Star Wars, because I don't see him making just one movie.
If he does, then he'll probably work on the canon just as he did in the MCU.
Well, in that case, then he could actually bring some respectability back.
We could at least expect
if he has a good outline and a good canon for it.
But the thing is, now it'd all be IP. It'd all be original IP at that point, because there's not Feige's good at taking from the comics and adapting that to the screen. What he's going to do with Star Wars, what could he? The only thing he could probably go back and do Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, you would have to go. If you want to bring some respectability back, you have to go to Old Republic era to start off, because there's a ton of stories that you can tell. There's a ton of lore that you could draw from. There's a ton of stuff buried in the old KOTOR games. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of stuff buried in Star Wars: The Old Republic itself, which, by the way, Filoni and a number of writers that are at Lucasfilm now came from actually writing for that game. Believe it or not, they were on that project. So I would not be surprised if they start there draw from there, and then you can move out into possibly some of the other EU stuff, Thrawn, Darth Bane, stuff like that, some of the more interesting stuff. And I think, there's Feige at least presents the best chance of that to happen if they give him the opportunity to do it. If he really cares about Star Wars the way he does, then yeah, he's pretty much the hope to sort of make it make sense again.
Well, they could go back to the old EU material, but that's all been relegated to Legends. It's been firebombed, and now you have this new Disney canon, which is just awful. If he could probably do something with the old EU material, but that new canon that Disney is pumping out is just terrible.
Oh, it's Drek. It's absolutely awful.
And most of it is just explaining the plot holes in the movies anyways, it seems like. So,
yeah.
So we got a super chat from Drunk 3PO. What's up, Drunk 3PO? Please tell Itchy to keep the Pablo book cover.
Yes, you have to. You have to, dude. You absolutely have to keep that, Itchy.
We'll see what happens.
That's great.
So I haven't read any of the novels, but I did read some of the earlier comics with Vader and the Lando miniseries that what's his name? The guy who did Daredevil. I can't remember his name right now. But he did a really good. There was a really good Lando miniseries that I really enjoyed in the comics. And then I thought he also took over Vader too, and he had a pretty good Vader run in the beginning. And I thought the first Vader run was pretty decent as well. So there are some good stories in the new Marvel comics. Obviously, I've tuned out. I really like Dr. Aphra in that original Vader run, but from what I've seen lately, that she's kind of become a different type of character.
Yeah, a lot of people mentioned Dr. Aphra was good in the beginning. I myself have tuned out just because of all the silliness. I just have no interest in the franchise anymore at all, really.
Well, and so I know you guys were talking about Feige's really good at adapting comics, and obviously they rebooted the with the Marvel comics and stuff, but there is still lots of really good stuff in those like old Dark Horse comics and even those really old Marvel Star Wars comics too. That they can mine, and Feige is good at that. But there was also another point that I wanted to bring up is kind of touched on it a little earlier. Is Disney just using Feige's name as a producer on Star Wars to try and like, hey, this guy who's done our MCU is now doing Star Wars, but he's really just a name and a figurehead. He's trying to use the Feige brand.
It does feel like a Hail Mary, doesn't it?
They could be, but I think that it might be a genuine, last ditch Hail Mary, like Itchy said, because they kind of have to do something. I think people are realizing slowly but surely behind the scenes that it's been a marketing disaster trying to market who they're trying to market to. And at some point, they got to stop bleeding out money somewhere.
Well, I think we talked about that a little bit last week. We talked about Disney's known for their princesses, and they had this like core female audience, and then they went out and got Star Wars and Marvel, which are predominantly male audiences, and they've tried to radically change them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Part of it is political activism, but then another big part is also the thought that, why not double your customer base? And it just never works. I mean, this is an old lesson. There's a TV show on Netflix called The Toys That Made Us.
Oh, I love it.
Episode about He-Man.
Yes,
He-Man.
So good.
They talk about it right in there. They talk about how when they came out with She-Ra, the boys didn't like it anymore because their sister had the power too, and they walked away from the toy line. So this has been going on over and over again. They still keep trying to put this square peg into a round hole, and it just never fits.
He-Man crashed quicker than crashed quicker than Star Wars, where they were like selling buku for like what 4 years, and then they came out with She-Ra and it just dived.
Yeah.
Dived.
Yeah, that was one of the earliest cases of trying to shoehorn in a Mary Sue.
Yeah.
Yeah, because because He-Man in its own universe, it already had females. You had Evelyn, you had
Right.
you had Tila, who they easily could have, she already had some establishment. They could have done something with her, but they shoehorned in She-Ra for no other reason than, let's get little girls to watch the He-Man universe. And again, it was a colossal.
Yep.
So also had Courtney Cox, which is...
So Dobbin also makes a really good point here. So we ran this story. I think it was earlier this week, or it might have been late last week. But Gina Davis announced that Disney is teaming up with her organization to use artificial intelligence to like scan scripts to make sure that they're woke enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
is this the same as the Batman script that we kind of joke about?
Let me pull this up. Let me pull it up here real quick.
The Joker talks about drinking water and he drinks anarchy. Nobody?
I did a blog post about that organization she's at, and they're teaching these young kids. They're in schools teaching these young kids about all manner of stuff. It seems to facilitate a lot of misandry.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Yeah, it's misandry masquerading as feminism.
Yeah.
So she was at the Power of Inclusion Summit in Auckland, New Zealand, and she talked about her. She talked about her new tool called GDIQ, spell check for bias. It leverages patented machine learning technology developed at the University of Southern California Viterbi School of Engineering to rapidly analyze the text of a script to determine its number of male and female characters and whether they are representative of the real population at large.
So they're bots.
Go to USC now. Protest tomorrow.
I need woke bots.
Yeah.
It also can discern the number of characters who are people of color, LGBTQI. I have no idea what the I is. That's new. Possess disabilities or belong to other groups typically underrepresented and failed by Hollywood storytelling. It can assess the number of speaking lines the various groups have, the level of sophistication of the vocabulary they use, and relative social status or positions of power assigned to the characters by group. I'm just curious, how are they going to know what their race is if it's not said in the script? If it's just like, hey, this is Tina, or this is Joe.
Yeah.
Are the bots just gonna assume based on
good job with an X-Men script though? Gosh.
Oh, don't talk about that.
It's so bizarre though. I mean, why even bother with a writer at all? Why not just have the AI just compose the entire script?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
I'm telling you, that Batman script, it's coming.
Yeah.
Have you seen what the AIs produce? They have to recode these AIs because they come out and they're deemed racist and sexist and everything. It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. They don't have the woke gene. The AI just actually writes something coherent.
and I actually think this goes. Oh.
Even just the desire to do this is just odd. Why, it's supposed to be an art form. You let your imagination run wild, however it goes. But then they want to regulate this gender bias.
They want to regulate the way you think. That's what.
Yeah, exactly right. It's very Orwellian stuff.
Itchy. Just think of it like this, dude. It's the Borg.
Oh yeah, no question.
It's
futile.
the Borg.
So you actually kind of addressed this, Itchy, already when you were looking. This is on your blog. So this what is the article called here? George Lucas' statement on women in Star Wars from yesterday.
Yeah.
And you pulled up this old Starlog magazine issue 127 from February 1988.
Mhm.
And Lucas was asked by Starlog, are you going to bring more women in for future Star Wars films? And this was his answer. Well, what of Princess Leia? When you're making a war film, how are you going to put women in it? Think of other war films. Think of The Longest Day, those films. Well, it's your galaxy. I have to go with the rest of the world and still make it believable. I'm not sure how many women will be in the rest of the films. That's the kind of thing that plots dictate. What would Star Wars have been like if Han Solo had been a woman?
Go Lucas. Go Lucas.
That
Yeah.
Bro, he was already like talking about this stuff back in 1988.
That
Yeah.
reminds me of something Avery Brooks said a while ago while he was doing a panel, and someone asked him about how he decided to play Captain Sisko as a black man. He's basically said, how do you play a color? I didn't look at it as a color. I looked at it as a person. He is a person first, and then I went from there. I don't believe in playing a color. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No.
And
Exactly.
So it's like if you're writing a character and the reason the character is functioning the way he is only because of the color of his skin. I'm not saying that it can't be an aspect, but if it's the only thing that makes him original or makes him stand out, then you've kind of failed as a creator because the character's now one-dimensional. It's a tool. It's no longer it can no longer be fleshed out anymore.
It's literally skin deep.
Yes.
It's like asking Rebecca Romaine how she played Mystique. How do you play Blue?
Yeah.
Not talking. That's for one. I think she had like 4 lines in the entire series she was in.
Right?
But as for how it's not how Disney tries to infiltrate, it's not something new. If you've been since they bought Marvel, you can see what they tried it 2 times, and mostly with the X-Men. I think some of it might have to do with Perlmutter, but they've tried to do this where they're trying to take X-Men fans and make them Avenger fans by taking X-Men characters and making them Avengers. And that didn't really work out, in my opinion. I thought it was kind of stupid. And then they took it a step further when they tried to erase the mutants altogether and replace them with Inhumans. They took the aspect of what makes an X-Men comic book an X-Men comic book and pasted it onto the Inhumans to the point where Crystal, one of the a princess, kind of funny enough, was flying around the world in a hyper advanced jet, saving Inhumans from angry mobs. What the heck does that sound like?
Yeah.
So it's like it's nothing new for the Disney company in general to try to take fans of one genre or one brand and paste them onto another, and it didn't work. So.
Yeah, I think that's like that. I mean, it's a huge problem, and we like you mentioned, we saw He-Man crash, and Star Wars is in the middle of a crash. I was actually I was trying to get one of our guys to write this story. It was from the Motley Fool. Let me see if I can pull it up. So we're gonna kind of get a little financial here. So if you don't know what the Motley Fool is, they're a financial website that gives people stock advice, and they cover a lot of these big businesses. I use them. They're great. I'm sure you do too, Itchy, but they're a great source for finding the investor calls because they have the transcript on there. So I really use them to look at that. So I don't know if that's where I find all that good information. So yeah, this is an article. Let me do my screen share here. This is an article from late last week. I think it's the 12th. What was that? Friday? Saturday. So this is from Saturday. And it's by Rick. I'm going to totally butcher his name. Muneris. And Disney stock has a long way to bounce back. So this is like after their Q3 report, heading into the Q4. And right here, the stock is now trading 12% below its high in July, while the market is just 2% away from revisiting its peak summertime position. So even with all of like the Disney Plus announcements with the MCU, all of like the buzz about Disney Plus, I think Star Wars is really dragging it down, and especially with their park attendance in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, really dragging it down. And that Q3 was a lot worse than how Disney was spinning it. And this is coming from a financial blog.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Jedi Temple Archives has a
they're good too.
Yeah, a number of articles about the financials, and in one case, there was some kind of shareholder report. They didn't even bother to mention Star Wars, which was kind of interesting. It's just,
I think that was Q1 of this year, if I remember correctly.
So it's just, all the signs are there. It's just, it's diminishing in every I don't know what you call it, every facet of the franchise is diminishing.
No, I think I could talk about this now because I didn't get the job, but I was brought into the Disney offices in Anaheim to become interviewing with the head of engineering for the Disney parks. And this is Disney parks across like Shanghai, Europe, Florida, Epcot Center, and Disneyland Parks in Anaheim. And when I stepped into those offices, you don't see that there's a problem with Star Wars because they have banners from left to right, the Rebellion and the Empire, just as you're walking down this huge atrium. And from what I understood from the head of engineering, they are going to push forward with a lot of the plans that they have for both the Marvel and the Star Wars themed rides and parks. And it's I was like, why? So if you're pushing forward for this stuff, why not hire more people? And then that's why we have you in here today, because we need more people. We need more people. And I was being interviewed to write some of the manuals, some of the safety manuals for the park. Was going to be hired, but I didn't get the job. But now I can talk about it.
Sorry you didn't get the job, man.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
It's all right. I got my foot in the door and I got to see something nerds usually don't see. So
yeah, looking at the bright side there. Well, I mean, so WWW Pro, I'm sure you've been following him, Itchy, too. He talks about all the struggles that they're having with the new ride in both Disneyland and Disney World. What is it called? It's not the Smuggler's Run. It's the other one, Rise of the Resistance.
Yeah.
And so WDW Pro thinks that they're going to have to delay it because right now it's supposed to come out in December, I think, in Orlando.
Yeah, there was some issue with the magnets in the floors not working properly. It's been a while since I've read his comments, but there were a whole host of problems he was citing with that. WD Pro, I don't know. Is he real? Is he not?
Right.
I don't know.
What kind of ride is it? Is it a roller coaster simulated? What is it?
I think it's supposed to be like that Avatar ride that they've got.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is. I didn't bother to look into it because I'm not really interested about the ride.
Drunk 3PO, are you still here in the chat? I know he goes down there. He goes down and buys he goes to the store and buys those little the water bottles that were banned by the TSA, and he was selling them on eBay.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So he might know because he's down there. I think he lives right outside Orlando. But yeah, I'm not surprised they would be continuing with expanding the park there. That's Disney's core business is the parks, from what I understand. That's where they make a lot of their money, and so them continuing, especially with the Marvel stuff. I think they'll see that because they got to compete with Universal. Universal just dropped like that Hagrid coaster that's doing really well, and then I think they've got something new coming out, and then obviously they've got all the Nintendo themed stuff that's about to drop too, and Nintendo seems to be on the up and up as far as like everything that's happening with the Switch and Mario and everything.
There has not been good news for Galaxy's Edge in a long time since it's opened, really.
Mhm.
It just everything keeps getting more and more vacant. People aren't going. Issues with the rides. That it's too expensive. People complain that the only thing to do there is to shop, like at a shopping mall. There were issues with the lightsabers, I believe, not working.
Yeah.
$200 lightsabers. I mean, it's just one thing after another. And then you have compounded with the fact that you don't have the familiar characters or locations. People would like to go to Cloud City or something like that, but that's not there. Instead, you're on Baku, which nobody has any idea what that is. So, there's just not the draw there. The only draw would be the Falcon itself
And drinking.
Yeah. Drinking $15 drinks. Yeah. And that's expensive too. I mean, there was a menu online showing the drinks are like $15 to $25. It's just crazy.
Sounds like a drink in downtown Fullerton, though.
That's double what it is at Capital One Arena if I go to a hockey game.
Yeah.
$20 for a beer. So, But so do we want to get into some DC news? There's some breaking news just before we kind of went on from Variety. Let me pull it up here.
Leaks?
No, there's no set leaks. This is a Jonah Hill story.
Oh.
From DC.
Yeah, the Batman movie.
Is he going to be the Penguin or not?
So the report is that he actually passed on the role.
According to the number, yeah, he'll no longer in talks to play villain in an upcoming film after salary deal could not be reached.
Yeah, so here we go. Did it screen share? No.
What role was he going to play? Do we know?
Penguin.
So he's rumored to play the Penguin or the Riddler were the two top choices. Did that work? Is it screen sharing? Yeah. Okay.
Did he lose enough weight to become the Riddler? Or
I mean, he had lost weight, I think, beforehand. I mean, I think he did lose quite a bit of weight.
His facial structure, though, and everything else, though, I think he would have been perfect as a Penguin type character.
They are talking about the Penguin, Riddler, and the Mad Hatter.
Yeah. Are you reading Deadline? What are you reading, Phil?
Variety.
Oh, you're reading Variety. Okay. After being offered a role in the Batman, Jonah Hill has moved on from the project.
Gorilla Grodd.
No, that's not Variety.
Why exactly Hill is passing is currently unknown, and insiders tell Variety that when the news was initially reported, it was very early in the negotiations and the deal was far from closing. So they say Penguin or Riddler here, and now Reeves will have to go back to the drawing board to see which actors will take on those roles. So they're intimating that both Riddler and Penguin are going to be in the movie.
Yeah, I don't think someone said the Mad Hatter here, but I don't believe that. They're doing Alice on the Batwoman show. I don't think they cross streams that closely just yet. That wouldn't make much sense. And besides, who outside of us, animated series geeks, actually remember who the Mad Hatter is? So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, people would probably think. I guess he was on Gotham.
I didn't watch Gotham after.
Yeah, he made an appearance on Gotham. I actually like those episodes. They're pretty interesting with Alice. But yeah, so what do you guys make that Hill is no longer, he's passing on it? And you said the source that you were reading was that it was mainly they couldn't make a deal.
For money, yeah, it was the contracts. So
they're either there means that he was trying to get more for the role, which is interesting. So we got to keep those budget guys there, right?
I think it might be an issue. Like Jonah Hill, maybe he's asking for more than he he may think he's worth more than he actually is. If this was like 10 years ago, he may have be able to have gotten whatever he wanted. But what was the last thing he was in?
That baseball movie?
But Moneyball?
Yeah. That's where he lost the weight.
He did War Dogs too, and then he did that like didn't he do that like that the two people make a porno or whatever? Was he in that?
Oh yeah.
Zack and Mary.
Zack and Mary.
Yeah.
Was he in that? I don't know.
And he did 22 Jump Street with what's his name?
That guy.
Didn't play Gambit. Channing Tatum.
Tatum.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
I think he's been doing directing more recently. He's been trying to go behind the camera. He was in Wolf of Wall Street. That was 2013 though.
Was that long ago?
He voiced Green Lantern in the Lego Movie 2, the second part.
Oh.
Which I guess that came out this year, right?
Maybe he was being cast as Green Lantern.
Yeah, I can't see that.
His most recent role was the Beach Bum.
Green Lantern.
Don't even know what that's about. But I mean, so what do you guys? I mean, I don't know. To me, it seems like. For me, it's like you see these reports from like Variety and Deadline and stuff, and they're treated as kind of like gospel for the most part. But I mean, they're just as much of a rumor as anyone else saying that it's a rumor. They just try and report it as like it's legit.
Mm-hmm.
They might have more spiders on the wall, but at that point, it's all the same kind of rumor mill. We don't really know until we see the final product.
Yeah, but, it's kind of a non-starter, and it's barely a blip. I don't think anybody's going to care after tomorrow.
Like so tomorrow, they cast like the guy that was in Breaking Bad.
As who?
As I don't know. Cast him.
Right.
I totally forgot his name. I totally blanked on his name.
You're talking about the guy who plays the main character, Eisenberg. Right? That's his name. I've never seen Breaking Bad, but I know his character's name. He was in Godzilla, right? You're talking about the guy who was in Godzilla?
He was a dentist in Seinfeld, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But cast him as a main villain, and then you already got your audience.
Yeah, I mean, he plays a good villain.
Wasn't he supposed to be Lex Luthor until they gave it to Jesse Eisenberg?
I think that was fan casting.
Oh.
Wanted him to be Lex Luthor. Bryan Cranston, thank you, Blake.
Bryan Cranston, there you go.
Oh, that's what we were trying to figure out?
Yeah.
I still want him to be Mr. Sinister. He wants the job too. I think he'd be dope with that.
Yeah.
I think he'd do well with that.
Yeah.
Sinister in general.
If we get a next movie.
Hickman's iteration of Sinister, though?
Say it again?
With Hickman's iteration of Sinister?
I don't know. Sinister isn't the Sinister I grew up with right now. He's kind of mustache twirling, making jokes. This is not he used to be the boogeyman of the X-Men. Now he's the weird guy on the other side of the fence, I don't know. I'm not impressed. That's the one thing about Hickman's run so far. I'm not that impressed. But he's been like this for a little while now in the comic books, so it's just kind of part of the course right now.
Flamboyant character.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it. I'm glad they went back to his classic look, but they didn't give him back his personality.
So we got some other Batman news. I think it was earlier this week. Zoe Kravitz is reportedly cast to play Catwoman, and this came after a rumor saying that they were looking for a Zoe Kravitz type actress, but that she was too busy in her schedule. With her schedule,
Zoe Kravitz was too busy.
That's what they were saying. That was the original rumor, and then reports came out that she won the role and she beat out like Isa Gonzalez, Ana de Armas, and who's going to be in the James Bond movie, and Isa Gonzalez is going to be in Bloodshot, and then there was someone else whose name I can't remember right now.
Yeah, I was online when that happened. People were kind of tripping. It was like it's not the first time that we've seen a not 100% white Catwoman. I mean, it's been done several times before. It's not a big deal. It's like,
yeah.
And both her parents are half white, so I'm not sure if that makes people feel better. Or like, I don't get it.
She's attractive. I mean, she could pull it off. I think. Yeah, I don't see.
She's got those look to her. Yeah. So.
Yeah, she's got a good look to her. So I don't see like necessarily the problem with her playing Catwoman. The thing is her acting chops good enough to pull off Selena Kyle? That's
I've got no idea. I've only seen her in X-Men First Class in a full movie. I don't know anything else. I've never watched anything else she's been in, so I couldn't tell you.
Wait, X-Men First Class? She played
She's Angel.
She played Angel.
Oh.
Angel Salvador, not Angel War.
She was
I know who you're talking about.
Stripper. Yeah. In the strip club.
I mean, I think she'll be good because, like I said, she's got a good look. As long as her acting chops are up to par and she can pull off the role, I mean, she should knock it out of the park.
Mm-hmm. She has played Catwoman before. She voiced her.
Yeah, she voiced her. Yeah.
Yeah, in what did she do her in? It was in the Lego Batman movie.
So there's the Jonah Hill connection.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That's Jonah Hill was the Lego movie. This is the Lego Batman movie.
All the same people.
Yeah, I think it's maybe. And she also voiced Mary Jane in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So
I knew that. Yeah, I did know that. Okay.
And she was Lita Lestrange in Fantastic Beasts.
I didn't.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
So she roughly should know her way around the material then. So
she was also in Mad Max Fury Road. She was one of the she was one of like the slave girls.
Yeah,
okay.
I can see that.
Yeah, I remember that.
I can see that.
Yeah, Mark is saying she was in the Divergent series too. She played someone named Christina.
That's not good.
She was in like Divergent and Allegiant, I think.
Yeah. We don't want to mention that one.
I've seen my wife watch a couple of them and walk right the heck out. I was like, do this.
Wait, we just mentioned Fantastic Beasts. I mean, what?
I didn't see the second one. I saw the first one. It wasn't too bad. I didn't see the second one though. Script Doctor says his worry is that he hopes that she doesn't try to impersonate Eartha Kitt.
No, that worked for its time. You know, back in the 60s, that worked then. That's not going to fly again. Please don't do that.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I don't know. What do you got? Like, so they're talking about like the film is supposed to be inspired by the Long Halloween.
Oh, that's dark.
Yeah, and it's supposed to like really have Batman in his like detective mode, but Catwoman doesn't really play if I remember correctly, she doesn't play that big of a role. She's kind of in like the first couple issues, but it's kind of like a minor role, right?
They'll change that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would think so.
They'll change that. That's a given.
So are they just going to do what DC does and just cram every good storyline into one movie to make it a horrible movie?
I hope not.
They'll throw the marriage of Selena Kyle and Bruce Wayne in there just to.
I'm not I wasn't reading the book when that happened, but I heard that pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, it tanked their sales and it still hasn't never recovered.
Why has the DCEU not followed the MCU model with putting out origin story movies first and then mixing them up after that? Why have they not followed that successful model?
FOMO. They saw Marvel making a bunch of money and they didn't want to do the slow burn because they wanted it now. They thought, oh, our characters are strong enough and popular enough that we can just throw them all together and it'll work without establishing who they actually are, like Marvel did. And be honest, they didn't. By the time DC started making their movies in any kind of vein like how Marvel did, they were already 5-6 years behind the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't want to put 5-6 years of development into those characters before they put them on the screen together.
Yeah, that was a big problem, Itchy. They just sort of were like, oh man, we got to catch up now.
Didn't quite work, did it?
No.
I mean, they're kind of doing that with Crisis on Infinite Earths, though, right?
They had some off success, like obviously Wonder Woman did well on the big screen. Aquaman did well, but aside of those, I mean, the recent movies have been pretty much a disappointment. I know Justice League was not well received as what they thought it would be.
I stand by Shazam, though.
Yeah, Shazam is great.
Shazam.
Shazam is fantastic.
I haven't seen it yet.
So Script Doctor has an answer as well. He says, well, Itchy, for starters, there is officially no DCEU, just DC movies. And 2, they wanted to start the race at the finish line, which, yeah. I also think they wanted to try and separate themselves from the MCU a little bit, which they ended up kind of being a cheap knockoff.
Well, they did separate themselves. They accomplished that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Script Doctor was saying, I think Green Lantern was actually supposed to launch their DC universe, but it fell flat.
It seems like they tried the same approach with that Dark universe. Remember the Mummy?
Yeah.
That was Universal, right?
Or it didn't work?
Yes, Universal.
Yeah.
They made a whole studio for them, and then they just went away. Like,
yeah.
Let's just pretend it never happened.
Well, I feel like it's not going to get much better for them. I mean, you know, they're doing well with the standalone Joker film right now, but the problem is like, you know, you got what looks like a flaming turd bomb coming out with Birds of Prey, and you know they're going to take a big L on that, and it's like, you know, you got to scratch your head, you know, like you just come out with a critically acclaimed movie on one hand that's doing very well. That
I would critically acclaimed.
No, it actually is. The critics begrudgingly are giving the Joker its props. They're coming around, but the thing is, you know, the audience knows. I mean, you guys see the scores. You guys have seen it. So, I mean, the Joker is by all accounts a hit. And then you're going to follow it up with this goofy Birds of Prey movie that is nothing but a bunch of like woke nonsense, and it's not even, you know, it doesn't even make any sense, because we talked about this. I mean, Harley shouldn't even be in it if it was anywhere faithful to the books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think DC's kind of got like a split personality going on. They're really Two-Face.
That was funny. You made it funny.
Yeah. I had to think about that one.
Good going, John.
Breaking out the jokes every week, John.
But yeah, I don't think they don't have anyone who's kind of road mapping what they're doing. They threw Zack Snyder under the bus. Jeff Johns went to like go create his own studio with a first look. Then Kevin Tsujihara was like kind of railroaded with like a Me Too accusation. And they just had a lot of turmoil at the top of Warner Brothers. And then as Script Doctor points out, AT&T purchased them. So they've been making a lot of changes, tightening the belt. You've seen a lot of their smaller subsidiaries have gone away and kind of been just really just tight, like I said, tightening the belt. So we'll see what happens. I know we ran that report about Harley being the face of the DC EU, but with Birds of Prey, as Drew says, I just don't see that happening. It could have been possible, I think, but that Birds of Prey movie just looks really, really bad. And then, what were we gonna say?
I think they're making the same mistake as they made with Batwoman. They're putting out a bunch of I'm not sure propaganda pieces about the movies to try to entice a certain crowd, and not understand. People have been saying for a long time that crowd is not going to support you. They don't spend money, and it doesn't make sense. And I think like we talked about this last week. I got around to watching Batwoman, and it's not as bad as those trailers made it out to be. It's actually not. I enjoy it more than I enjoy Black Lightning, and I'm a big Black Lightning fan. This season's not great. But the last 2 episodes of Batwoman have been way better than I thought they deserved to be, based on those horrible, horrible trailers that they put out. It's nothing. I haven't seen any of the flavor that I got from the trailers. I haven't seen it inside the show yet. And it's sad. The weakest part of the show is Ruby Rose, the main character. She's not the greatest actress in the world at all. She doesn't emote very well from her face. Her lines come out flat sometimes, but the characters around her are actually pretty engaging. especially the Alice character. I really like the dynamic between them, even though Rose can't seem to carry the weight. But
that's one thing that did stand out to me in the trailer. I haven't watched it, but I thought Alice looked like an interesting character.
Yeah, she's very interesting. I like it.
The antagonist seems okay. That's just like, but yeah, you're right, Phil. Ruby Rose just, I don't know. She's just something about her. She doesn't.
Very pretty, very attractive. She has a good look. It's just when she's putting out her lines.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not Wood.
It doesn't have the oomph behind it. No, it's a lot of the same problem that Brie Larson has.
Yeah, exactly. No stage presence for the type of story she's telling, So, but Birds of Prey seems to be doing the same thing. They're going after this crowd that's probably not going to support them while alienating an entire genre fandom in the process. But
well, I watched the third trailer because I did a story on the ratings for this episode 2 for Batwoman and Supergirl, and the third trailer is just doubling down on what they gave us in the trailer for the beginning of the season. It's just like, I think she says something about like she makes it's like another Batman reference, and she's like dissing Batman again. I'm just like, what are you doing?
I mean, with that awful music that they had in the trailer, and then just the way they presented the trailers, I mean, they basically, they presented it so like anti-male that everybody was turned off, and nobody would even give it a chance. Outside of a female audience. I mean, so even if that stuff wasn't in there, the trailers like sabotaged the show before there was even an episode on the air.
Yeah.
And then, Script Doctor made a good point. I want to give him credit because, I actually watched his breakdown of the pilot, and everything that he summed up was like right there. He was exactly right about it. The weakness of Batwoman is just, more or less the plot. It has some compelling characters, but it has some plot holes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I talked about this online with someone. It's basically, I was giving the show its props, but I have a big problem with someone getting trained, coming back, and now you're Batman. It's like, they're like, oh, but she had training. I was like, that training just allows you to not die immediately. Even Bruce Wayne broke ribs on his first couple nights out, in the Cape. It doesn't. There's no training in the world that's going to teach you how to, use a gas-propelled grappling gun in a city and not kill yourself immediately. So
I don't think
even Spider-Man like crashes into buildings when he first gets the powers.
Exactly.
And then another thing about
Captain Marvel doesn't though.
That's not how drowning works, okay? If someone's drowning, you don't stick something in their mouth and they just start breathing again. No, there's water in their lungs. They're not breathing. I don't think that's how the body works, but we're good. I'm sorry.
So do we want to get into what do we want to get into next? We've still got Blizzard, Jeremy Renner, and Sonic the Hedgehog. What do we want to do? What do we want to talk about next?
The Jeremy Renner thing, I haven't been really following it because I just like hearing the exact story before I go into what people are saying about it. Does anybody know more about it? I know we had a story on the website.
So go ahead, John. Segue us into Jeremy Renner since
So Hawkeye actor Jeremy Renner, the biggest star of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, obviously. That wasn't in Avengers: Infinity War. How could they do that to him? How could they snub their biggest character? His ex-wife and him are in a custody suit for their daughter, and she leaked. It looks like her or her legal team leaked documents to TMZ that reported on them, saying that Renner was going to clubs, abusing alcohol, doing cocaine. He was telling people in these clubs while he was like drunk and high that he wanted his life would be better off without her. and that there was one person, like I think the legal documents even said that he contemplated committing a murder-suicide, where he would like kill her and then kill himself, and then there was one part where they said that he put a gun in his mouth and then took it out and then shot it into the ceiling of the room that he was in. And then Jeremy Renner basically responded saying this is all a lie, and she's just trying to like defame him, and she's just out to try and get a big settlement, and she's kind of just like a gold digger. And I think he said that she was the one who might actually be abusing drugs. And then his legal documents, he said he submitted to like drug tests for like 3 months. That proves that he was not doing drugs or alcohol. So to me, you go ahead, Don.
Haven't we seen this before though?
Exactly.
Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's Johnny Depp. I would say it's more Jim Cummings, which we covered on the website as well. And Jim Cummings was going through a custody battle as well, and his ex-wife was accusing him of all things. So if you don't know who Jim Cummings is, he is a absolutely famous Disney voice actor. Winnie the Pooh, Hondo from Star Wars. And yeah, his wife was accusing him of like sexual assault and like animal abuse. He's claiming that he was like tying up their dog and like leaving him out in the sun, and even like putting like a metal bucket over him, and all these kinds of things. And
what was his dog?
Wait a minute. A metal bucket over a dog is abuse?
Yeah, well, out in the hot sun.
Oh.
Was it a dog? Like a hamster?
I'm not sure what kind of dog he had.
I don't know. It just boils down to the age-old advice, man. You know, when it comes to women, you don't date psycho. You don't marry psycho.
You got it.
Simple.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so Jim Cummings actually, it looked like he won his custody battle. He actually retweeted our article that said he appears to win. So I took that as confirmation that he won. But yeah, they were going after him really hard. And it's almost like extremely similar to Renner, except they just went way more hardcore into the accusations.
But yeah, he has to get in front of that really quick, being a employee of Disney, but especially with this series coming up, which I'm pretty sure they probably started doing shooting for it by now. I'm sure, possibly, but yeah, he's got to get in front of that really quick, otherwise it can get down the line.
That's actually one of the things he said, that every time she would actually make these like ridiculous accusations that time with his movie releases. So he was saying that she's actually trying to sabotage his career, which is also what the Jim Cummings ex-wife had said that she would do in his legal documents. So there's so many parallels to both of those stories.
Props to Dobbin in the chat. He forgot about the hotness to crazy ratio.
Yeah, do that.
I've been there before.
So not only did Renner have this is something I missed when I was talking about this. I just pulled up the article. Not only did he did drug and alcohol tests for 3 months, but he also had a mental health specialist monitor his visits with his daughter as well. So I mean, he was going through quite a number of hoops.
Wow.
To basically disprove all of these accusations.
Was he seeing the writing on the wall then?
That sounds to me like she's just trying to cash out on him, pretty much.
Yeah, I think he realized that she was going crazy. Yeah.
Because I mean, dude, that's just petty, and you can tell, like, because we've seen, obviously Jeremy Renner's a public figure. We've seen countless interviews with him, things like that. He comes off as a level-headed guy, a really down-to-earth type dude. So, like, just from public perception, what we know of him, I mean, it kind of lines up with the fact that, okay, this chick is just kind of trying to get the cash out and take him for a ride. And it's like, it's sad because there's a child involved, but yeah, man, it's just, there are those type of people out there that'll marry somebody and go that route because they're famous.
I'm surprised like Mary Sue hasn't like run with this and start referencing his Black Widow joke that he made a few years ago. He had to walk back.
Oh yeah.
See, it was true. He's a monster.
I wouldn't put it past them that they might have already done that. I don't check that website for the most part unless someone sends me an article from them pointing out how they're making some absolutely asinine argument or.
They do that daily.
I mean, but it has to be like really credulous for someone to send it to me as like a tip or something.
Yeah, every article they write is asinine.
Speaking of,
is Kathleen Kennedy's job being taken over by Kevin Feige?
Yes, it is. It's what happens when you don't produce. America.
Well, when Solo was a bomb. Like they admitted it was. They admitted it in that Q3 report. No one wants to talk about that, but they admitted that Solo did not perform well.
Yeah, it was terrible. Nobody went. I mean, we were watching that happen all day on opening day when Solo came out, and we were watching it like it was a Super Bowl. And people were tweeting out pictures of empty theaters right and left. It was fantastic.
The sad part is the actual movie isn't all that bad. But
that's what I understand. Yeah,
they completely lost all goodwill after TLJ to the point nobody was going to support it.
I enjoyed that movie way more after John made the reference that the android in it might have been a play on Kathleen Kennedy. When he said that, I kind of like, I think I'm liking the movie a lot more now because it's pretty funny.
Well, I mean, Solo had a lot of cool Easter eggs in it and stuff too.
That whole Kathleen Kennedy angle, it makes me curious. I would like to see the Lord Miller cut because there's probably even more.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, with the robot, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch it with that in mind. But yeah, that was Jack, I think, that said that.
Yeah, is it Jack? Okay.
Yeah, that was Jack.
Okay.
2 weeks ago or something.
I thought that was hilarious. That changed the whole movie for me. It was like,
yeah.
Wow. So they were doing that on purpose?
So that's kind of Jeremy Renner. Let's do Sonic the Hedgehog. So they've got these alleged new designs, and I think they look actually really good.
Yeah, I saw them too. They look a lot better than that furry teethy thing that we saw before. It looked like a gremlin.
These are way better.
These are extremely a lot better. So let me pull it up. My internet is being really slow now.
And to be honest, the trailer, I didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty funny when they used the Gangster's Paradise in the background. I was like, that has no place in this trailer whatsoever. But it was interesting to hear it again, to a Sonic possible Sonic movie. It was kind of weird, but it was cool, but weird.
Uh-oh. I think I just clicked on the wrong.
Heroic Hollywood.
It's the furry one.
Yeah, that's the furry. I actually don't think he looks that bad.
Because his mouth is closed.
Yeah, because his mouth is closed. Yeah, he doesn't look bad in the thumbnail. So where are they? Here they are. Here it is.
But that looks a lot better. I like that.
Yeah,
That's a little more cartoony.
Yeah,
that's
more what we expect from Sonic. That's.
I mean, we don't want a life accurate hedgehog running around. I mean, that's kind of scary. It's like
we still don't know what his mouth looks like, his teeth, because he's got his mouth closed. But he looks a lot better there. And then
Okay.
here's this other one from the
Okay.
side. They shortened him. It looks like he's not as lanky.
Elongated like he was. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was.
That's
I
good.
think that was the weirdest part. I think that's why that thumbnail above looks pretty good because the way the camera angle is, you can't tell how tall he is.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this looks way better. So much better. I think my favorite thing about the Sonic thing is all the memes like reacting to it. It was just constant. There were so many good memes, just savaging it, and then they actually responded in a good fashion, like, "Yo, this sucks. We need to fix this because no one's gonna go see this."
Not even the kids. It was terrifying, man. It was like,
Yeah, it was kind of bad.
He's like the monster hiding under your bed that's gonna get you.
Pretty much.
he's too fast to stop.
Don't eat
Like,
me, Sonic! Don't
I
eat
can't
me!
even see him. But there's nothing there because he's moving too fast, Daddy.
Oh man,
Oh, we're not sleeping anymore.
that's
The sounds of him collecting the rings is like a horse.
nice.
Oh,
All right, good job,
nightmares.
Paramount.
So hopefully those are alleged leaks, like not confirmed. Jeff Fowler hasn't tweeted since he announced that the movie will now release on Valentine's Day. So who knows if that's legit or not. But if that is the direction that they're going,
Valentine's Day.
good direction. Yeah, apparently Dr.
Deadpool's
Robotnik and
release?
Sonic the Hedgehog are now going to be a Valentine's Day movie.
Like I said, that's what I say. Deadpool. They're trying to go that route. That's not going to work. Okay.
Because
No.
that's the first thing I think of when take a date to a Valentine's Day movie, boy.
Comes a week after Birds of Prey.
Gotta avoid that second week. You don't want to. Jeez. Birds of Prey is going to tear it up in that second week.
Oh gosh.
There'll be so many return watchers.
Yeah. I have to see it 3 times, All right, so our last topic here is Blizzard.
Yeah.
I know you all been waiting for this one.
All right.
This is like dominated headlines. And there's been it's like a constant. There's so much stuff happening. It's hard to keep up with it.
It's like a blizzard.
Well, basically,
Nobody?
I mean, basically, God, I can't get my composure. Don, with the dry humor and the perfect timing. All right, let me reset here. So Blizzard actually, this started now a week ago. Now they
Yeah, it was about a week ago.
they went and they banned a player named Blitzchung in a Hearthstone tournament in Taiwan, and it all came because he won, therefore he was entitled to a post-game interview standard when they have an esports broadcast. So he's doing his post-game and he basically said he had a gas mask on and he said liberate Hong Kong, and he stands with the protesters. Well, they immediately cut his feed, and then the broadcasters basically sort of voiced their support for him. So immediately they fired the broadcasters.
I thought they encouraged him to say what he said.
Yeah,
Yeah, fired.
but
No, it was a ban.
but
Like a
they
suspension.
fired the broadcasters though.
Well,
Yeah, they're gone.
They're gone.
Well, no. So they released a statement and they have a 6-month ban, just like Blitzchung, I think.
Oh,
I think
months.
after they got savaged by basically everyone in the United States, Blizzard had to back down.
So they didn't fire him; they just suspended him.
Well, they
They
gave the guy
reduced-
his money back, right?
Yeah, he
Prize money?
has his tournament winnings. His suspension was reduced to 6 months instead of a 1-year ban, And I think
Still sucks though.
let me see if I can find the post.
Crazy.
Because I remember at the time I wrote the article, it said that those guys were fired. So
Right, but yeah, so they released a statement on the 12th, and I think your article was like the 10th. Because they backed down. Let me see if I can find back down, I guess.
Too many people canceling their subscriptions.
You gotta realize if Blizzard doesn't keep China, the country, the government happy, they lose access to that entire country, and they're going to put money over people's freedoms. It's just the way the world is. Capitalism, and the way it is. I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah, so in their statement that they released on the 12th, they said, with regard to the casters, remember their purpose is to keep the event focused on the tournament. That didn't happen here, and we are setting their suspension to 6 months as well. So they're only suspended for 6 months, and I guess they can return afterwards.
yeah. Well, see, the problem that I have with the whole thing is, I have a problem with that because I'm against censorship as it is. But when you start to get into the second tier of the story with the college kids, when they had that college tournament in America, and they didn't win, but they go on camera and they have the Liberate Hong Kong side, and then immediately they get their feed cut. It's like, when you have rampant censorship because of a communist country in our country, then that to me becomes a serious issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it, and I applaud those kids for standing by Blitzchung. I know a lot of gamers have stopped, as Don alluded to, a lot of gamers have canceled their Blizzard accounts. People, personally, I uninstalled my Overwatch, and I have the Game of the Year edition. And I'm done with Blizzard. I know I have a buddy that canceled his WoW account and canceled his Battle.net because he said, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I'm not gonna sit there and support the freaking Chi-Coms, man. If they're going to turn around and censor people in a sovereign country, it bring their values over here. It's like, no, we're not going to support that. So yeah, I mean, gamers are definitely speaking out about it, and people are standing with Blitzchung, and it's good.
Yeah, so these guys, Corwin, Giant Dwarf Dark, Casey Excelsior Chambers, and T-Jammer were a team of Hearthstone players from American University, and Blizzard initially took no action against the players and scheduled them as normal for their next match. However, the three players, they forfeited their upcoming match, and they told US Gamer that they feel it's hypocritical for Blizzard to punish Blitzchung but not us. And they said, we feel it's hypocritical for Blizzard to punish Blitzchung but not us. The response from Blizzard shows that as soon as the messaging is out of the view of China, they don't care about political messaging. And then after that statement, they got a 6 month ban, just like Blitzchung.
Oh, that's petty.
Yeah, so here's Casey Chambers, who's Excelsior, one of the American University Hearthstone teams, and he posted an email on that he received from Blizzard on Twitter, and it says, "This is a notification that your conduct on the official broadcast for the Collegiate Hearthstone Championship on Tuesday, October 8, 2019, violated Rule 7.1b." 7.1b, I guess, is participants may not take any action or perform any gesture directed at another participant, TESPA admin, or any other party, or incite others to do the same, which is abusive, insulting, mocking, or disruptive. Yeah, I guess it's
disruptive.
Disruptive, right?
Didn't they pull?
But you're reaching, man.
Yeah.
Didn't they pull some other rule out of the book for Blitzchung?
Yeah, their rules are extremely vague, and are like the rule with Blitzchung that they used was just like it's whether or not we determine that whatever actions you take are detrimental to Blizzard as a company.
Yeah.
It's absolutely arbitrary, super vague.
Then they're probably deliberately so that they can apply it to punish the people that they want to punish, and reward the people they want to reward.
Well, it also goes deeper than this too. I mean, don't forget there was an actual like walkout at Blizzard of Blizzard employees over this. They I believe this was a day or so after the Blitzchung thing. The employees, the Blizzard campus in California, about 30 of them walked out, and they just protested. They had protests for the entire day. They just bailed on work and just stayed out in the courtyard in the employee recreation area, whatever they have there, and I mean they just said, we don't agree with this. So it brings up a lot of things, and especially with this controversy with like the NBA and China, the recent comments by LeBron. People are starting to see that they're peeling away the layers and looking at just how deep the Chinese influence is on not only on in the gaming circle but in entertainment period, and they're people are realizing that, hey, wait a second, as consumers, we're actually in some ways supporting oppression by helping these companies, push these type of products. So I think consumers are getting a little bit of an awakening with all this stuff going on, and it's good, because I would rather see, at least speaking as an American, see like American dollars go to American companies and American products.
Yeah, but then a lot of these companies are just pushing to get their stuff to China.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know it is. The Asian market's huge, but there's plenty of Asian countries you could deal with that.
Not as big as China. I mean, billion.
Hollywood is
billion people.
Yeah, you can deal with Japan. That's big enough.
Not bigger than China.
No.
Speaking of Japan, Blizzard canceled a Overwatch panel. I think it was a panel with for their Switch with Nintendo. Like, so Nintendo was getting the Nintendo Switch was getting Overwatch, I think, and Blizzard was supposed to have a panel coming up. I think tomorrow or Friday, and they canceled it after all this Blitzchung stuff. So who knows why they canceled it?
It's too close.
Too close for a public appearance. But BlizzCon is in November, I think, next month. I'm sure there'll be a lot of fallout with that. I think Dobbin has been talking about that in the chat here. Yeah, I think that it's kind of interesting that all of these things happened all at the same time. I don't know, South Park, NBA, and Blizzard. So you have like all these different entertainment genres, I guess.
Well, a lot of people
discussing the issue at the same time.
Mediums, yeah.
A lot of people, John, in gaming circles also stopped supporting Epic Games and the Epic Game Store. As if the Epic Game Store wasn't controversial enough, the people stopped supporting Epic because 48% of the stuff from Epic is all like Chinese. That Tencent company owns 48% stake. So, people backed away from supporting, like,
they own 48% of Epic Games.
Mm-hmm.
What? That's Fortnite, right?
Yeah, and it's the Epic Games Store mainly that they're invested in. But the thing is like I said, people are backing away from that too because they're not going to support it, and it's just like the Blitzchung incident really opened eyes about stuff like that. People are researching, just where their the trail of money is going.
Oh, did you guys hear that one of those DJs got banned from China from ever doing performances in China?
What do you
because
say?
he liked.
I saw that.
Yeah, one of the tweets from Trey Stone.
Yeah, he liked a South Park tweet, and they banned him. Yeah, I saw that. It's ridiculous.
The guy liked Matt Stone's tweet and got banned. Wow.
Yeah.
So unless they were following him directly, they were just stalking the likes from the tweet. Found someone that had any kind of notoriety, any kind of clout whatsoever.
Zed.
It was Zed.
It was Zed. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh, you mean Zed? Okay.
Yeah, 6 days ago he tweeted, "I just got permanently banned from China because I liked a South Park tweet."
Good grief!
Isn't this the guy that works with like Katy Perry and stuff?
Katy Perry, Ellie Goulding.
Yeah, he's one of those world class DJs that you have to spend a couple of dollars to go see. I mean, yeah.
Wow.
I've downloaded a couple of the songs that he's done. It's a pretty dope DJ. Like
yeah, it's just I think China is gaining way too much influence, and I guess if we had like another couple hours, we could sit here and speculate. I mean, start peeling away at the layers of how deep, how much of the PC culture and everything else that we're stuck under is attributed to Chinese influence.
That does make sense, doesn't it?
As opposed to just the SJW stuff. Hey, maybe all the SJW stuff is being spawned by the Chinese influence.
Or more likely, the Chinese influence is like, hey, all this stuff that you usually put in movies, you can't have it in movies over here because that stuff is banned.
Yeah.
And so Hollywood sculpts their scripts and their content to appeal to a Chinese audience. So any references to any kind of things that are controversial, that are banned in the Chinese government and the Chinese, viewership, it has to be edited out. I heard that Hollywood produces two kinds of movies. I don't know if we talked about it this last week, that they film two movies essentially. If they have the budget, they film one for the American audience and the general world audience, and they film one for the Chinese audience.
Yeah, that's been going on for a long, long time. I know, going back to, Dracula, Bela Lugosi, 1931, they had two versions, a Spanish version and an English version. They had different actors playing the roles. That's been going on forever. Yeah.
But it's also, if you see like big, tentpole movies like Transformers and
Last Jedi.
Like you'll see just random either Asian actors or they're in Asia for reasons unknown. So they're just trying to placate. What was the one with
Pacific Rim?
Pacific Rim. The one with the guy went to Mars. He got stuck there. What's his name?
To Mars. Oh, with Matt Damon. Yeah, where the Chinese are the ones who come up with the solution to rocket the ship around the planet. Yeah.
The movie was in China for some reason. It's just like, it was a great movie. I just understand that part of it, why it was necessary, but it just happened to happen that way.
Do you guys remember when they were producing a remake of what was that 80s movie where there was a Soviet invasion?
Oh yeah, it's Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
It was originally going to be a Chinese invasion, but they switched it to North Korean because the Chinese didn't like it.
Oh yeah, there was a big backlash from China. They basically put their foot down and had a hissy fit because they were going to do that exact thing because, you know, and it would have worked had that idea stayed in the movie. It would have worked well because it was actually something plausible,
Right.
from a plot standpoint. Because, you know, no way could North Korea pull off what they did in that movie. Because I actually went and saw the reboot in theaters, guys. I sat through that. Yes.
Yeah.
The only redeeming thing was Adrian Palicki being in that movie, and I was just sitting there like, But the only thing, you know, like I said, had they stuck with the original plot as Itchy was alluding to, you know, the Chinese invasion would have fit perfect. It would have like mirrored exactly. You would have had a communist invasion, the same way you had it in '85 with the originals, and it would have been seamless. But again, the Chinese government put their foot down, and Hollywood was all too quick to bend the knee.
I agree with you. I think there is a lot of influence there, and it makes me wonder if the reason why we see a lot of these SJWs in entertainment is because they're hiring politically compliant people, people that are sympathetic to their politics that they want to push.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, Itchy. I think there's a two-pronged thing here. I think you hit on something important. I think you've got the people who are capitulating to China that they're hiring, and you also have the you know, PC political activist crowd that they're also hiring. You know, and then they're killing two birds with one stone. They're capitulating to China, and they're furthering the agenda. So there you go. And you know, that is a very, very great point, Itchy. My God, you are wise.
Thank you, guys, sir.
So I just want to point out The Last Jedi's box office worldwide was 1.3 billion. Domestically, it made 620 million. In the foreign market, it was 712 million.
So that foreign market pushed it over.
Yeah.
There are people trying to get it banned, Star Wars banned in China right now. There's an effort
what kind of people?
4chan people.
Oh.
There's an effort.
That's great.
Yeah.
So Hollywood Reporter says The Last Jedi suffered one of the worst second week's box office drops in China. It said the film debuted to 28.7 million.
After only 1 week in China, 92% of the theaters dropped the movie.
Yeah, 2.4 million.
Yeah, and then it was pulled entirely after the second weekend.
That's really, wow.
Yeah, something else.
So it only made 30 million in China? Holy crap.
Was it too far out even for China for their audiences?
I mean, the Chinese have never really gotten into Star Wars.
There was a number of articles came out that a few Chinese fans were saying they felt that the movie insulted their intelligence. They didn't like it because the actors weren't beautiful. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, they were saying a lot of the same stuff we were. I've got quotes from them on my blog, but and then they have a name for all of these activists in entertainment and stuff. They call them bizos or something, and it's a derogatory term. So they don't.
That's their version of calling them SJWs.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're already sitting in communist China. Why do they want to get more communist propaganda in their movies? They're already in the middle of it. Yeah.
So this guy in this Hollywood Reporter article, so this is from 2017, I think. Yeah. And he says, I guess this guy is like some kind of like Chinese firm. He runs some kind of Chinese firm called Fanink. And he says, we've seen the Star Wars franchise downgrading across all key measures. Force Awakens was generally above average, Rogue One was about average, and Last Jedi was below average in every category. And you see this reflected at the box office.
Wow.
I would not. I mean, I have to imagine that people in China might not even go see Rise of the Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker.
Wow.
30 million. Only 30 million for Last Jedi. That's crazy.
What article was that from? That was from IndieWire?
This is from Hollywood Reporter. It's titled "Why Disney's Last Jedi Mind Trick Isn't Working in China." It was written January 16, 2018 by Patrick Brzezinski.
Okay, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Jimmy Woo, chairman of nationwide Chinese cinema chain Lumiere Pavilions, told the Hollywood Reporter The Last Jedi has already been completely pulled from cinemas here. And this was January 16, 2018. The movie came out. I think that's after 2 weeks. You said it's performed much worse than we could have expected.
And I remember the argument at the time was that, Star Wars doesn't have cultural cachet in China.
Yeah, that was from our media.
But Black Panther did awesome there. What cultural cachet does that have in China?
Not a darn thing.
Yeah, it did fantastic.
A fictional country called Wakanda that defends itself.
Magical rocks.
Yeah.
And they went to South Korea, didn't they? They didn't even go to China.
They go to South Korea or something like that.
Yeah,
it was South Korea.
South Korea's there.
Yeah.
So there were 2 Asian people in it.
In the casino or whatever, right?
The casino, and they had what's her name speaking Korean, so that's a plus there.
Yeah, but that's not China.
No, it's
so
not.
Yeah, I think you're. I mean, yeah, that argument. The arguments that they make always fall flat. When you actually look at the other evidence, that's the same argument that Iger makes. That what they're saying that the reason why Star Wars is struggling now is because we try to rush out too many movies. It's bogus.
It is bogus, but part of his job is being coming up with bullshit to shovel out to the public.
The same studio that so far this year has put out what is it 4 Marvel movies or is it 3? Well, how much are they up to now?
Captain Marvel, Endgame, Spider-Man.
They've done 3 so far.
3.
I mean, shut up, Iger.
They're going to be doing 4 in, 2021 when Spider-Man comes out, right? I think there's 4 in 2021. Next year is what? Black Widow. What else is next year? Eternals, maybe?
And then everything on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and then all the whatever's happening on Disney Plus too.
How many of you guys are subscribing to that?
I'm going to.
It's part of
already subscribed.
I'm doing it because they have stuff I want to look at.
Yeah, okay.
Gargoyles.
X-Men animated series.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they got the X-Men Evolution. That wasn't even really their property. That was produced by WB. I'm surprised they were able to pull that off.
I actually reached out to my Disney contacts to try and get a list of everything that they have. Mm-hmm. And I guess they went on a tweet. I guess the Disney Plus Twitter tweeted everything out.
Yeah, they went on a mad storm.
And they have a 3-hour video of everything. But I was like, hey, do you just have a list? I was like, can you, because obviously I would be interested in writing an article about that if it was condensed and I don't have to sit through a 3-hour video or literally go through hundreds of tweets. But yeah, she never responded. So
yeah, I want Gargoyles.
Dude, that's what they need to do, another Gargoyles show. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, something might happen now because Feige's in charge of. He's the king of everything now.
Yeah,
and they bought, and when he said that they gave him permission or told him that Gargoyles was on the table, he tweeted out or said something or put a comment out that he was most excited about that. But then nothing came of it. Now that he's the king of everything, maybe he'll actually push something into the ether, hopefully.
I know we reported on a X-Men the animated series. They actually were going to pitch to Marvel and Disney continuation of the series.
I'm down.
The old
Watch it.
school?
Yeah, the same creative team from the original show was going to Disney to pitch continuing it.
Yeah, if they pull that off, that will actually go well because a lot of people love that show, including.
This is interesting. So this is an article from 2014 on a website called mandatory.com, which I've never heard of. And so I guess Kevin Feige did an interview with Superhero Hype, and he says, I don't need to hypothesize about what I would do with various Disney properties if they gave me control over anything I wanted. It's happening. It's coming in 2017, and it rhymes with schmargoyles.
Yeah.
I remember that article.
Yeah.
I remember reading it on that website, though.
Feige said, I've always wondered why the hell Disney never decided to turn Gargoyles into a blockbuster movie event. But when I expressed an interest, they literally begged me to take it off their hands, along with Quack Pack and the Mighty Ducks. The sci-fi animated version of the Mighty Ducks, not the good one. There was a sci-fi version of the Mighty Ducks?
Yeah, it was a cartoon, a Saturday morning cartoon with a whole
I remember that. Oh my gosh.
Ducks Rock.
Yeah, so he was talking about doing a Gargoyles movie in 2014, and it was supposed to happen in 2017.
It never happened.
Yeah, it never happened.
We may get to see it, though.
Disney owns Farscape now, don't they?
Technically, I guess. No, do they? Farscape. That was Jim Henson.
They bought the Henson Company, didn't they?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they are doing Muppets on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so that would fall under the umbrella then, yeah.
But the Dark Crystal was a Henson production too, and that's on Netflix. So I don't know how it was all sorted out.
It depends on whether or not Farscape was licensed to Fox. I would assume, right?
Yeah.
International more than anything else. I mean, it played here like on Saturday afternoons and but it was one of those it's kind of like what Star Trek was back before CBS bought into it. It was I forgot what they're called. It's serialized or something like that. I forgot what they're called, but it wasn't owned by one network or anything like that. So. But yeah, it was a Jim Henson production for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Feige needs to get back on the Gargoyles. He dropped the ball there. What was he thinking?
Freaking
I think he's going to be busy.
He was even saying Robert Downey Jr. would make a great Xanatos.
Oh, would he?
And we may force him to play Brooklyn as well. Because why the hell not? People love that dude. What day is it again? I have stuff to do. Wow, that was a really good interview, man. Feige was actually really loose and open. 2014.
Yeah. Before he started taking over the world, he was still kind of normal.
Yeah. So you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, I think we pretty much covered all the good topics, man.
Why doesn't the Flash punch people in the back of the head more often?
He's a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Like you're a villain. Just run behind him and punch him back of the head and run away.
I think with
Run around the world.
I think with the structure that they got going on with Disney and with Feige, I think it would be really important for us to have like one of those tree diagram things, show who's reporting to who, and does Loeb report to Feige?
So he wasn't mentioned. Someone was messaging me in the Discord about this, and he was thinking. What were they saying? They were saying
because I have trouble understanding the structure of it. I just know
he reports to Iger, but he's the chief creative officer. That means anything underneath his umbrella in terms of being created has to pass through him before it gets okayed, which is essentially what he was doing before. But they've extended his powers away, not just over the MCU, but over their TV and their distribution, their publishing distribution. So comics and TV, he's going to do for them what he's already been doing for the MCU.
Publishing, as far as it concerns from a creative standpoint, Perlmutter is still handling the nuts and bolts of running the mills.
Yeah, running the company. Yeah.
So Feige reports to Alan Horn and the other co-chairman, who report directly to Iger. Whoever, I think was it Deadline that broke that story?
Mm-hmm.
They were saying that because there wasn't really any changes other than who reports to who now. In the article that we did, I think Joe Quesada now reports to Feige.
Oh yeah,
and Quesada's like the head.
Names.
What was his job?
Yeah, no, Quesada reports to Buckley, and Buckley reports to Feige, and Buckley is the president of Marvel Entertainment, and he will be dual reporting. So his editorial side will be reporting to Feige, where the operations side he's still reporting to Perlmutter.
Well, what
and
is
then
job?
Yeah,
does anybody know what he does?
Quesada.
Yeah,
he's the creative lead for Marvel Entertainment, according to Deadline.
Oh, that sucks for him.
Yeah.
Your job is being downsized, bro.
Yeah, Feige reports to Alan Horn and Alan Bergman, who are the co-chairmen of Walt Disney Studios.
Before he takes their jobs.
They didn't report. Yeah, they'll be reporting to him soon. They didn't say anything about Loeb, who runs Marvel TV, so I have no idea what's happening there.
4 weeks ago, he okayed that horrible Inhumans TV show. Anyone who's involved with that needs to not have a job anymore.
I don't know about that. Feige was supposed to be doing. Remember Marvel Studios announced an Inhumans movie, and they punted on it.
When Ike Perlmutter was still over Feige, as soon as he got from underneath him, they killed that entire slate.
Oh yeah. The all connected thing with Netflix.
Yeah,
that all went away.
It was never really connected.
Well,
there was maybe they would reference the Battle of New York.
They take the green guy.
Yeah, the green guy. They didn't even say their names. The green guy,
which is weird. But I think it was Professor Thorgy before I stopped watching him because it started to annoy me. He brought up a good angle of what the Inhumans should have been opposed to what they became. Other than trying to make them X-Men light, they should have gone with a more Game of Thrones kind of feel for the and
it's built in.
The more he talked about it, the more it made sense. And then the show, I'm not sure what the show was going for. It was weird. It was, you can tell they didn't have much of a budget. The story didn't make a whole lot of sense.
That's Perlmutter.
Gorgon was at some point was drowning himself. I didn't understand what the heck was going on. It was bad. It was just bad. They cut into this arrow. I mean,
that's Perlmutter's IKEA budget right there.
Oh yeah, that's what happens when you try to make a blockbuster TV show with a sitcom budget.
So this is gonna get everyone riled up here. This guy, I don't know who this is, Charles Murphy on Twitter. He's the co-host of Murphy's Law podcast. He is reporting that the Miss Marvel Disney Plus television show with working title Jersey begins filming in April in Atlanta under Circle Q Productions. That seems like they're pushing it up because wasn't Miss Marvel further down in the timeline at the D23 Expo, Don?
Yeah. They're supposed to be working on Hawkeye before that.
Yeah.
There's some trouble, so they got to make sure everything is on the up and up before they continue with that.
Oh, I mean, they're pushing Miss Marvel hardcore. I mean, they made her the lead character in the PlayStation 4 game, and
they're trying to make us like her again. It's not working.
Is G. Willow Wilson getting credit in that?
I'm sure she will. So will Sana.
Yeah, they went with Kamala Khan in the video game.
Yeah, that's what I mean with Miss Marvel. So So yeah, it's interesting they're filming it in Atlanta too. Didn't they also they weren't going to film in Atlanta or in Georgia, but
Yeah, what happened to that? Was that
yeah,
the
no one remembers that. No one remembers that anymore. We don't care about that.
Don't look over there. Look over here. Look, we have stuff going on over there.
Don't look at China anymore either. It's just
All right, well, we had a great stream tonight. We covered a lot of different things. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Especially thank you, Itchy, for taking the time out of your night and joining us and having some fun here with us. We really appreciate that. Talking Star Wars.
Thank you very much for having me, and it was really great to meet all you guys.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, Itchy has a Indiegogo where he is raising funds for a book to talk about the, what did you call it, Geekergate?
The Geekergate. So
the Geekergate.
I've studied things like Gamergate, Comicsgate, etc., and the same pattern happens in IP after IP. I noticed this early on and with Star Wars because I went through it with the Battlestar fandom around 2000, 2004. And it was all exactly the same stuff.
Yeah. Oh man. Back then, Itchy, honestly, because at the time, in the Battlestar fandom, I was running a site called Pegasus Actual. We were like the third biggest site behind the sci-fi.com, and then there was Ragnar Anchorage, and then there was us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I noticed that a lot, even with our members at the time on our site. There was a big disconnect in the fandom because a lot of it was TOS people that weren't too happy with the new show, and it was like I guess people that enjoyed both. And then there was like people that were just all about the new show and didn't like TOS. So it was weird. There was a lot of infighting at times.
Yeah, there sure was. And it was the same thing. It was, the TOS fans criticized the show. They didn't care for it. And then they were called misogynists and sexists. I mean, it was classic. It just followed the rule book exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The playbook, I should say.
So not only does Itchy have a Indiegogo for the book that he is planning, are you writing it right now?
I'm not writing it right now. I'm going to be working on the blog and researching through till Rise of Skywalker leaves the theater, and then I'll start beginning production of the book.
Okay. And then the blog that he's mentioning is Disney Star Wars is Dumb. It is an excellent resource for all Star Wars news. I use it all the time. I look at it every day to see what's happening in Star Wars because there's a lot of happening. It's hard to keep up with it all. And Itchy does a really good job of tracking everything down. Drew, you are doing a Battlestar Galactica live stream on Thursdays?
Well, yeah, on Thursday we do a thing called Battlestar Galactica Chat. Shout out to Script Doctor because he's one of my normal panelists. It's usually me, Script Doctor, our buddy Brian the Gravedigger, and Rosetta Allen, and the four of us. We sort of always start off with the relevant stuff about BSG, and then we go into a number of topics like we do on here. And tomorrow we got some good stuff coming up. We'll see if there's any good updates about BSG, and then we're gonna talk about. I know we're gonna definitely talk about Treadstone, which premiered yesterday. So we're going to get into our impressions of the new Treadstone television show that is centered in the Bourne universe that that the movies made famous. So we'll get into that in depth, and also some of the other happenings, and of course using some of the wonderful stories from our site, which obviously you viewers out there catch all of our great writers and staff at boundingintocomics.com. And, if you want to check out our panel tomorrow, just go to my channel, youtube.com/Supreme Heretic, and toss me a sub. And we'll see you at 9:00 Eastern tomorrow.
And Philip and Don are kind of our resident X-Men experts. Philip, you run a high-end car blog, right? Like automobile. Do you still do that?
We're in a rut right now because me and my partner are working so much. He started a new job. I started a new job, and we haven't been out as much as we would like to be. But we're getting ready to launch something else on another online magazine itself through Issue. So hopefully that's up and running by hopefully the end of next month. But yeah, mostly our passion is street cars. We don't do a lot of show cars, but our passion is street cars. Cars that actually have power but don't look great. That's our favorite kind of cars. The ones that we call them sleepers. So,
yeah, sleepers. Yes,
yeah, that's our thing. And we do a lot of track work, autocrossing, and we do some roll racing and drag racing. So
That's awesome,
dude. Yeah, so cool. I've just gotten back into like short track circle racing on Saturday nights. It's so much fun.
A lot as a kid.
Yeah. So much fun. Don, what do you have going on?
Well, since Disney rejected me, time is a little freed up. So I've been looking into some of the Defenders verse they got going on. Looking into some of the media that's been being put out there, and the Defenders are kind of still alive in the media. So, and I think there was a story recently that they at least our wonderful friend Jeremy Conrad, he put out a thing saying that Feige might be interested in getting some of the more popular characters out, like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Daredevil, and kind of rebooting the other more failed ones, Inhumans and Iron Fist.
Inhumans.
Yeah, I saw that Mikey Sutton and Geekosity on Facebook. I've been tracking his what he's going on. He said he's got a Daredevil scoop coming, so we'll be on top of that.
There's rumor of Vin Diesel possibly getting that role of Black Bolt in the Miss Marvel in the Miss Marvel series.
Oh, that could be interesting. So. That hasn't stopped them doing Gemma Chan playing Minerva, and now she's going to play one of the Eternals.
Yeah, but Minerva's kind of like I don't know. She was a kind of secondary character in Captain Marvel, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, she was one of the Kree enforcers.
Yeah, she's funny skinned though, so you can't say it's the same person, you know.
Yeah.
Skin. Bluish green.
So we did get a super chat here at the end from Orville Nation. It says, "Hey guys, interesting panel. Clap, clap, clap emoji." This isn't a car video though, so. Yeah, thanks Orville Nation for the super chat for what is $2. Thanks for joining in. I met Orville Nation at New York Comic Con. Met him on the street. We didn't get a chat for long, but it's good to meet you. For me, I usually do a Titans review on Fridays. I will actually be driving down to Nashville on Friday, so that might not be happening. So we'll see if I can reschedule that maybe on Monday or Tuesday next week. But yeah, so usually every Fridays I do a Titans review from DC Universe, and starting in November I'll be doing a Mandalorian review. Yeah, so I think we'll hopefully get Don. We'll see if we get Don on there for that, and I know I've talked with Script Doctor about getting him on to do that as well. So that should be a lot of fun. So that's usually Fridays. I don't know. I usually do it like after lunch at like 2 p.m. around there. So yeah, that's what we have going on. Thank you again all for joining us. And we do this every Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Bounding Live. And I want to thank again Ichibaka, our special guest, for joining us tonight. It was great having you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Take care, folks.